Myth Wukong is a wake-up call. This game, for many others, including myself, represents what many of us have been asking for a long time, which is just a game that's a game.
A good
Nothing
game.
else. No modern gaming trend chasing, no microtransactions, no live service model. It's not a platform for future expansions. It's just a game that's delivered at a fair price that gives us an incredible experience. That's exactly what this game is.
Imagine that.
Damn good one at that.
Yeah.
Through fabricated controversies and criticism steeped in biases, this game has persevered. It has sent shockwaves across the industry. It has exploded.
Well, it's because all of the IGN articles, like, about, like, how the game company is bad, all the Chinese people are like, oh, I don't read English. They don't even see it. Yeah, they're not even seeing it. It doesn't even happen.
In popularity, and it's going to leave a lasting impact. Today, what I want to do is I want to talk about my experience with Black Myth Wukong, but more than that, I want to talk about how this game embarrassed the people that tried to stop it, and what it means for games.
My favorite part about the whole controversy is the idea that all of the players are in China. Like, so what does that mean to you? Can you elaborate on what that means to you? What do you mean? So, they're all Chinese. Okay, all right. So, what do you mean by this? I don't know. It's so weird, isn't it? Yeah. So interesting.
The gaming industry is at a crossroads. For years, major publishers have doubled down on the belief that live service games are the future, insisting that players crave ongoing multiplayer experiences with microtransactions, season passes, and endless content updates. They've argued that single-player games are a relic of the past, too niche to sustain in an era where constant engagement and monetization
EA says people don't really enjoy linear games as much today. You got to cut the bridge when you realize you can't make a lot of money on something. That's crazy.
People kind of want every game to be open world, that's
the past
true.
few years have told a
EA
completely
games have
different
their
story.
own,
Games like Baldur's Gate 3, Elden Ring, Tears of the Kingdom, and Hogwarts Legacy have not only shattered sales records, but have captured the hearts of millions of players worldwide. These widely single-player experiences, with their rich narratives, immersive worlds, and focus on player agency, have proven that there is a massive untapped hunger for games that prioritize quality over quantity.
I wonder who's this guy's master is. He says my master's safe, right?
A massive untapped hunger for games that prioritize quality over quantity.
I mean, Wukong is a linear game.
Experiences over endless grinds. Now entering the stage is Black Myth Wukong, a game from a country that is not necessarily known for releasing AAA titles, and it's another beacon of what players have been yearning for, a well-crafted, story-driven experience
People
that
get mad for no reason.
Its money. Telling the tale of one of the greatest, one of the most...
It's just that the game is plays well. I feel like a lot of people don't understand how big of a factor that is. Like, a lot of video games...
Oh, shut the fuck up. You got a 4090 and a 12... This guy has the top-of-the-line PC, and then he runs the game on that PC, and then says this game runs fine. Of course it's gonna run fine on a freaking $4,000 PC. No shit. What about the rest of the people that has a 3070 and a 3060? You know? That's so this is why these kind of reviewers are really, you have to take their opinions with a grain of salt. Because they play on a very high-end PC and they play it on 200 FPS. And then they think the game runs fine. Run it on freaking a 3070 and run it on a freaking 60 FPS. And you will see what I mean. You know? Like, you can have a 4090 and run anything and then say the greatest game. You can say Jedi Survivor is well optimized when you have that kind of PC. You know? It's so bullshit. If you don't know nothing about PC, don't talk about performance. Shut the fuck up.
Do not play well. Like, Star Wars Outlaws does not play well. Like, for example...
This game does not play well either. Wukong, if you want a game that plays well, play, what do you call it? Wulong Fallen Dynasty. It plays flawlessly. That game plays amazing.
The way that the character
And this guy said that game didn't play well. You know? Complete opposite.
interacts with like the floor, the way the character interacts with talking to an NPC.
Nobody cares. He is just super. Look at this guy. He's just super hypocritical on himself. He said those things are none of them matter in previous streams and previous conversations. Now he is talking about how their lips are synced. You know? And so, this guy is insane.
Like, there's all of these like little things where like if something does not play well,
I got a bad feeling about this.
it's like New World is a great example of a game that does not play well.
New World is a
Deadlock
garbage.
plays so fucking well. Well, it's a Valve.
Deadlock plays insane
Like
well.
Overwatch plays
Oh, Overwatch also plays well.
insanely fucking well. It's
Oh, yeah.
so good. Like classic WoW plays so well. There's Elden Ring plays so well.
No, it's not.
Well-known literary works of all time. It doesn't rely on the trappings of live service.
Elden Ring plays so well. Let me show you how well Elden Ring played. Elden Ring plays so well, boys. Watch this. Watch it. Elden Ring plays so well, by the way. This is why when I say, when you don't know anything about computers, shut the fuck up and don't talk about performance, because you don't know what you are talking about. Elden Ring plays so well, by the way. Look at where it started, look where it went. You see this bullshit in a span of 5 seconds? Look at this. Plays so well, by the way. Fucking idiots.
Models or in
Elden Ring plays so well, you know? It just plays so well. I played this bitch on an X3D chip, dude. A 5700 X3D chip is the fastest chip in the AM4 platform. And it dipped to 23 FPS. Fuck off.
game shops, selling 10
It doesn't work. It doesn't play very well. I'm just saying what I see. People are just having a giga 4,000 rupees PC, 4 grand PC, and then say the game is running well. What about the rest of the people?
million copies within
You
days
know?
of the
Fucking
game's release,
crazy.
and breaking concurrent player number records with
This is the funniest part is, even people in China didn't like this game that much at all. Like some of the, there are people that doesn't like this game. There are people.
over 2 million players on Steam.
But they're in
Even they themselves said, it doesn't matter if it's from my country. I have the right and I have the, what do you call it? I have to be honest to point out its flaws. And they did point out its flaws as well. Instead of just sucking its dick. You know?
I know.
That's your job as a reviewer. Point out its flaw. Like this game's performance, it doesn't play very well in a low-end PC. I mean, if you think 5700X 3D and a 6700 XT is a low-end, you know?
In player preferences isn't just a fluke.
They're not.
It's a
they're
sign
not
of
real.
a deeper change
I mean,
within
it's
people in
consumer
China.
behavior. A change that the industry can no longer afford to ignore.
The problem with this is, there is so many slop games that any of the game doesn't have a DLC or doesn't have a pay-to-win aspect, it just gets them pass. For a slop. You know? This game is sloppy as hell.
Black
Like, you have only one combo, and it's just a straight up boss rush over boss rush over boss rush. It doesn't have an open world that is explorable that much at all. The loot you get are complete dog shit. Like, point out the flaws. Like, it has its merits, yes. But
Myth
you know,
Wukong was supposed to be just that, a myth. I remember the early
And I remember
trailers.
yeah, it's a myth. This game runs well in a PC is a myth. It doesn't.
Also, like, I like the idea of the fact that, like, we're getting games that are, like, worldwide, like, global games. I really like
it
that.
was a
I think
fun
that's
game, though.
super cool. The idea that, like, us and, like, you know, it's like Elden Ring comes out and, like, everybody in China and Japan and like, Russia and, like, America are playing this. Like, I think that's so cool.
Yeah. Do you know what would be even cooler if they can play together in online, like an MMO that's worldwide?
That's awesome to me. So, yeah, I hope this keeps happening. Like, India, yeah.
What do you mean by India? Indian people are playing.
Dialogue
Hello.
around it at the time,
Indian
which is
people
that
right
this
here.
is an unknown developer, a first-time developer,
Yeah.
a Chinese developer using Unreal Engine 5.
Fucking
and
hate this
we
game.
already see the history with some of those games. This is likely a scam. I thought it was. Many people thought it was. But it's real. It's so real that it doesn't feel real when you're playing it. This is one of the most gorgeous games that I've played in a long time. It feels great to play. The story is absolutely incredible. There is a stop animation cutscene in the best-looking game in 2024. The creativity, originality...
And keep in mind, that stop action cutscene then later on led to a quest line that was in another act that happened in the past. It was just insane.
You guys remember people complaining about it's just a cutscene simulator, and then now they're talking about how good the cutscenes are? Like, come on.
The cutscenes are beautiful, yeah.
It's
This
a
game redeemed
cutscene.
Unreal 5 for me.
Nobody cares.
You know what, man? I can see where you're coming from. Because there's been a lot of games that have been Unreal 5 games, and they've been a disappointment to me. For me, I thought the Vindictus playtest was really great, and that was where I kind of felt like, you know what? Maybe the problem isn't Unreal 5, it's just bad games. But, like, I think Black Myth Wukong is definitely, like, the assurity, right?
Uh-huh.
Lords of the Fallen, they've done a lot to improve. I've wanted to go back and play Lords of the Fallen again. But now, I mean, now with Core Keeper, like, I just added 100 hours onto my video game obligations.
And beauty of this
Yeah.
game is something that many modern developers can't even comprehend. But it's an experience that players have been needing for a long time.
Oh, get the fuck out of here. If you never played a game, if you're a fucking caveman, you've never seen a good game like this before. This is one of my mod recommended to me. This game came like 10, 20 years ago.
It has been a while. Open your eyes, traitor! Words of purity!
Watch this. This game came 10 years ago, dude. 10 or 20 years ago. And you are saying Wukong is the best game ever? Get the fuck out of here. Watch this.
You had slumbered for 12,000 years. We attained new heights.
This is a boss. You're supposed to fight.
Witness the power bestowed upon us by our priestess. Your
With their
very
limited technology,
daughter,
not a 4090.
Lisa.
My daughter. Mithra's power.
That's Yasuo, by the way.
What did you do? Tell me what you've done with her!
You will have to make me.
This is why I think people that doesn't play many games see one thing and then say that game is the best game ever. This game, I don't know when it released. Let me check when it released. It's been there forever, dude. $10 ago, 12 years ago, with a limited technology, that's like PS3 era, and they can able to pull something like this. What's this? In his third phase?
Rikara Fudoji!
And then you want me to say the cutscenes are bad? Cutscenes are great and you're fucking Wukong? Watch this shit. And you have to earn it. You have to spam a single button even though it's a single button spam. You have to earn through the cutscene. Just sends the bitch to the moon. Look at this! That came 10 years ago, by the way. Watch what happens. Keep watching.
Do you think a mere monkey like you can defeat a god? Behold, I shall show you our true power. Mantra Reactor, release! I call upon the power of the mantra!
Oh, absolutely, man. This game, Nyan and Wukong.
I am Wisen of the Seven Deities. I am an absolute being that protects this world and its mortals.
You see this shit? Now that is a freaking cutscene, dude. And then it cuts off with an anime. Like an anime.
Asura the traitor. Asura the destructor. You do not belong in this world. Die!
If you want to talk about a cutscene, show something like this and then talk to me. And you have to take part in it too. And he is in India. Look at this. This is India right there. He's just right in Delhi.
You traitorous filth!
It wasn't me.
I have decided to save
What
you.
is this? What great rebirth.
Father!
Mithra!
Your death shall be the foundation of my new world.
How many years ago again? 12? 14 years ago, by the way. Look at the expression there. And you have to earn the fuck out of it. Now that is a cutscene. When you talk about a cutscene. And God of War is like that too. The old one. Such a great game. And then I think the dude literally dies or something here.
Why
Oh
are you
yeah, he
here,
dies.
Asura?
See? That's a cutscene. When you talk about a cutscene. I never seen anything like that in Wukong.
Time. Black Myth Wukong is just a damn good game. It's not revolutionizing game design or reinventing the wheel.
That's it. It's just a game. It's not revolutionizing anything. It's nothing like this. You know?
It's just delivering a high quality experience at a fair price. I'm a little over 40 hours into the game, and I've
That's a
taken my
lot.
time
It's just as cheap Dark Souls knockoff.
playing
Holy
it just
shit.
because it's just that good of an experience that I want to savor it.
Yeah.
The game is exactly
That's the way
what
that
many
I
others
feel.
have
That's
said,
why I don't
a
wanna miss
boss
anything.
gauntlet. You explore areas and fight enemies, discover secrets, take on
Yeah.
side quests, but ultimately you are fighting a boss every few minutes because the game just has
Oh yeah,
that
it's a
many
boss
of them.
simulator.
I think that's one of the reasons why like this game has been very successful, like at least on Twitch too, is that watching boss fights is more interesting than watching people clear trash. Like comparatively, like Elden Ring DLC had a lot of boss fights, which is what made it really popular. So it's like this is kind of a stream focused thing, but I think it's one of the reasons why Black Myth Wukong has been very popular on Twitch.
Oh
It's
yeah.
more fun to play. Oh, I don't know about that. I mean, for me, I thought it was really fun to play like I love I love open world games. I do. Like you guys know this, like, you know, Wuthering Waves, like all of those other games, like I always play all the way through them. I really enjoy them a lot.
Ooh,
I
he got a
actually
lot
wish
of
that
movies
Black
out
Myth
to
Wukong
swap.
had more of that. But again, that's just
I'd
my
rather
opinion,
take
right?
Wukong's as a
I think
linear
one of
world,
the things
dude.
I'm most
I do
impressed
not
with is
enjoy
not just how many
Elden Ring
enemies
in
there
open
are,
world.
but how much
Yeah.
variety there is in all of these different boss designs, enemy designs, and mechanics throughout the game. I felt like every few seconds
How much variety in which how they can piss you off with their jank
as I was
bullshit.
playing the game, I was already seeing a new enemy type,
Yeah.
learning new patterns or attack patterns from them, and
Compare
gaining
that with Dragon's Dogma 2.
Ooh.
Dragon's Dogma 2, which should have been as good as Elden Ring. It should have been.
new abilities.
Yep.
Over the last few years, I've been so exhausted with generic AAA reskinning. Studios spending hundreds of millions of dollars, but they just keep copying and pasting the same enemy over and over with a recolor. However,
Yep.
Black Myth Wukong is the embodiment of variety.
Fuck this
Whether
boss.
it's a new enemy type, locations, abilities,
I don't even know what this guy do. I killed him so fast, I don't even know his mechanic.
you learn, or spirits you collect, each time I sat down, I felt like I did not know what to expect. I think variety
I was like, oh, I can't run out of mana. Let's just wrap it up. And then I just freezed him once, and then he's dead.
is really important in a game like this, because if you're anything like me, the longer you play a game, the more it drags on, the more
Yeah.
repetitive it starts to feel, and the more likely you are to just want to run through every section of the game just trying to get to the finish line because you want to say that you've beaten it.
I am
However,
actually not like that. For me, my enjoyment of games goes up over time because
game just trying to get to the finish line like this, because if you're anything like me, the longer you play a game, the more it drags on, the more
Yeah.
repetitive it starts to feel, and the more likely you are to just want to run through every section of the game just trying to get to the finish line because you want to say that you've beaten it.
I am
However,
actually
Say that you beaten it. Why would you do that? mean, if you're a reviewer, that makes
Not
sense,
like
yeah.
that. For me, my enjoyment of games
I
goes
mean,
up
I
over
kinda want a
time
forever
because,
game
like, I'm
too.
very much a slow learner, but
But-
I'm very good at mastering things and figuring out everything about them. So, like, the more that I play a game, the more that I want to play the game, because now I'm feeling like I'm gaining mastery over the game. Like, for example, like, cap. Okay,
Cap, right there.
I'm going back playing Monster Hunter again, continuing that. Oh, here we go. Here, let's look at Dragon's Dogma. What's this? Where's my achievements that I just got? Wow, level 200, huh? Wow, look at that. Dragon's Dogma 2. Look at this. I'm level 200, and I think 200 in Dragon's Dogma 2.
I guess mastery depends on different people, but I don't think his mastery doesn't matter that much. It's just a Steam achievement. It's nothing, you know. For me, the mastery is beating the boss in the best way possible, you know. Something like this. You guys know what I'm gonna show, right? Mastering a game is like something like this for me. I know the first phase like the back of my hand, but second phase not so much. Like that. That is mastery for me. Not having a shitty title that you have played that game for 200 hours. That doesn't mean jack shit. You can have a 3,000 hour gameplay time, but you are still garbage at the game. You know? But you only need... How long it took me to get to this point? I think I got there like in 2 hours. At best. You know? Like, I don't think that attack is variable whatsoever. No summons, no buffs, nothing. Right there, went in raw, full parry, dead. You know? And that's how you show mastery. This title, it only... It does... Do people even check this title? What do you guys think? Do you guys ever see someone's achievement in their Steam? I don't. It doesn't mean anything, you know?
Yeah, it's insane. Yes, look at Starfield. Where's Starfield?
In his opinion, his mastery is just how long he played. You know?
Who cares, actually? I don't even know where it is. No, whenever I play games, I want to go all the way in on those games.
Let me see how long I played Elden Ring. Let me see it. So Black Myth Wukong, I did something good on Black Myth Wukong too. The final boss has 4 phases. And I went from the first phase to the final phase solo. Without summons. Without summons, without any buffs either, I think. If you can do 4 phases back to back, that means you are good at the game. You know? Let me see. Elden Ring, right? It took me around 240 hours to get to that point, you could say. But I think I played that game twice.
As I am level 200 in Starfield. That's correct.
What the shit?
That's right.
You give me 2 billion in Starfield. That doesn't mean you are a good FPS player, you know?
Achievement for it. There's an achievement for level 100. There's not an achievement for 200.
He totally cheats that one, by the way.
Whenever I play games, I beat them.
Black Myth Wukong does not let you
Go
go.
see
This
his
game
Elden
sends out
Ring.
flashes
He
of
beats
brilliance
so
at
well
every
Elden
step,
Ring.
reimagining what the experience of a semi-linear action game can be and pushing the medium forward.
This was so good. Yeah.
It's amazing. I agree. Best part about this game. Period.
I was already impressed with how jaw-droppingly gorgeous this game is. However,
I'm also like a small thing is going back to previous acts and having things to do in those previous acts. It makes the game feel like it's more immersive and it's less linear. Like, for example, going back and fighting the Red Long, you know?
ever so often, I would find these lookout points where you would go to sit and meditate.
Yeah.
Listen to calming music,
People
seeing
say
the
God of
masterpiece
War
that
had
is
this
this
too.
game's world design, and being rewarded with a talent point upon completion.
Yeah.
I'll be real, I don't really normally like this kind of thing. I see it as a waste of time. However, in a game like this, after fighting countless enemies, sweating it out on bosses, these meditation points facilitated making this game feel more like an experience rather than a game. It gave me the time that I needed, a moment to drink it in, refocus, and venture forth.
Well, I think it's also like I'll watch people that play the game, and I actively try to do this while I'm playing and streaming the game. And not just this game, but any other game. And I try to actually like really emphasize the art and the design of the game because I think it creates a more cohesive and comprehensive experience, right? It's more holistic. Like,
It
for
was really
example, when
good.
I played like the WoW expansion, I tried to look up
Yo,
like
guys,
the
you-
world and
I think you
everything,
should play
and I
this
give
game.
people a really good view of the way that the game is made. I think it adds a lot to the immersion.
I loved it. I remember
You
when I
probably
finished that
like
too,
it.
and I really hope other people share this experience, but I was met with a stop animation cutscene, and I just
Yeah.
sat there awestruck. The artistry and imagination on display ripped me away from any other distractions. My
Yep.
attention was fully on the game. My respect was fully on the game. After this, I started taking notice to every sight and sound in the game. How well crafted some of the statues were. How areas never seemed to repeat themselves. How the music would flow in and out, trying to evoke a very specific emotion depending on what you were doing or where you were. I can't tell you how much
I
I
did not feel
appreciate
any
this
of
game's
that.
story, character writing, voice acting, musical, and visual production. When I
As soon as I see a guy with a HP bar that's a boss HP bar, I'll just lose my complete emotion and it pisses me off.
started
know,
playing,
I
I
love
was like, fuck, I'm stuck here for a while. You know? That's how I felt whenever I played this guy game. You know? Some of the bosses are very easy. Most of the main bosses are super freaking easy except the true story boss. True story ending boss. Except fuck that guy. I fucking hate that guy. But all of the bosses are super easy. You can just coast on them very fast.
The rat. I don't know like what the
when I started playing,
I love the rat. I don't know like what the rat does or anything, but he's my favorite character.
What?
Yeah,
What
he's
rat?
so good.
knew that this game was going to be good, but I never imagined an
Is it
action
Warthog?
game
Oh,
or a
yeah, the
first-time
Warthog,
developer
yeah.
like Game Science to deliver a story experience rather than just telling you a story.
Oh, actually, that's a Bajier. His name is Bajier. Bajier is a pig.
You have to listen, truly listen when you're talking to
He's been
NPCs
cursed.
because they'll often give you hints at side quests and
Yeah.
objectives that will
He's
deepen
cool,
your
though.
understanding of the story and its meaning.
It unlocks
It
bosses
blows
and
my
shit even.
mind how few journalists and professional reviewers took note of how satisfying and unique the narrative delivery and overall experience of playing this game is.
The only thing satisfied about this game's combat is just when you gigabonk them, you think it won't reach, and you will lean forward thinking that your staff will reach them and hit their head, and it will hit their head. That is the most satisfying thing you can have in the game. You know? That staff attack, especially the long poles, pillar stance. If you do that, that feels so good. But holy shit, some bosses just straight up dodges that. You
There's
know?
a timeless appeal to a game like
I think
this.
that there's a lot of worry inside of, I think, like development studios that places other than, I would say, like them could be making games that can compete with them. So I feel like a Chinese-made game in some capacity is a threat by the nature of the fact that it's a Chinese-made game? Is it now you're having like competition from another place that you can't control that the market can also use as well? Right? The bar gets raised. Well, it is.
It's been happening since Genshin Impact. Like what? Oh, you guys are under a rock or something? Genshin Impact is a full Chinese game. What do you mean? League of Legends. What is this there? Valorant. All of them are Chinese.
That the bar gets, it's more competition, right? It shouldn't be? Yeah, but that's the way it is.
Chinese game is not new at all. Even in anime, there are Chinese anime nowadays. You know, competition is very high there.
Game science has huge potential for upcoming games. Yeah. Journalists focused on different aspects of the game. Yeah, well, that's the problem, right? Is journalists care about things the players don't care about.
Like you, how you said the cutscenes are good. Yeah.
It's delivering on something that goes far beyond entertainment. It's something deeper, it's something more personal, and ultimately more satisfying. More satisfying than the vast majority of games I've played over the last few years. And this is one of the reasons why I love seeing smaller studios and
I
new
guess some
studios
people
come
get
up,
satisfied
is
being
because
a
they get it.
cock.
They still
I
remember
guess.
that a game is art first and a product second. And
Yeah.
when you're a company like GameStop,
That's the problem with this game. It's pretty good on the art style, but in terms of gameplay wise, it didn't play that great. Like I did not like its gameplay not that much. Like it's not. Most of the boss fights are not fair.
science, and you
They
pour
don't.
everything into a game because it's the game that you want to make and you love what you're making, well, this is the end result. A game that gets...
I think that, like, it's just... I feel like games are art and they're also a product, and it really depends on like kind of where you want to draw that line. But at the end of the day, I think the problem is when the people who are doing the art feel like their vision is more important than what players want. And I think that the best example of this was like Shadowlands and WoW. So like in World of Warcraft, there was an expansion that came out, and there was like 7 or 8 different features in this expansion that were like huge handicaps for players that people didn't like having to deal with. And people brought this feedback up over and over and over. They were like, we don't like this, don't put this in the game. And they were like, we have to put this in the game. And then people quit the game, and then they changed their mind. That's the issue, right? It's not that games are a product or an art, but the fundamental is that the art has to appeal to an audience.
that message across, and it...
That has to do with the modern structure of the game. If it's a live service game, like he's mentioning, the World of Warcraft, if they put something that they don't like, the players that don't like, people will quit, and then their live service game will die, right? But in terms of Baldur's Gate 3, even though I didn't like it, many people didn't like that game. But it's an offline box-based game, so it has its own audience, you know? It's a very successful game, but it's not for everybody. Like the Baldur's Gate 3 is a good example, you know? So it always depends. It's not like black and white, right?
It makes a lot of money.
Like I did not. I thought Baldur's Gate 3 was the most boring game I ever played. You know, I was just exhausted playing that game.
The profit comes after. You have to make a great game first.
What do they have to do? They
and when I look
undid
at
everything.
failures like Concord, or I look at how poorly received Starfield was by
Yeah.
its fans, I start seeing studios that have people that are just clocking in rather than locking in.
How much you guys want to bet they're gonna release Starfield at least 5 more times? Starfield is gonna stay. It's not going anywhere. It's like they're selling a bare bones game and then people just mod it. You know? Give me a second. They will probably release Starfield at least 3 more times. That game is not dying.
Ultimately,
that's a fucking fact. Absolutely. I wonder like how enthusiastic a lot of these people are about working and like about making their games. That's a really good way to say it. Yeah, that's bars. Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
I think that's the problem. Like people, it became a business-oriented, what do you call it, culture in gaming industry. So that's why the Assassin's Creed is pumping out Assassin's Creed every year without any issue. And then every game plays exactly the same. Same goes for Far Cry, same goes for Assassin's Creed, same goes for Outlaws of Pandora, you know? It played exactly like a Far Cry 6, dude. It's not even close. You know? So it became, once the bigger, it becomes a business, the, what do you call it? The innovation and the, innovation basically dies. You know?
I don't think
Passion and innovation
it's
dies,
sustainable.
pretty much.
you can feel the reverence for Journey to the West through Black Myth Wukong.
Yeah, for sure.
You see it in the art,
Absolutely.
you see it in the music, you see it in the characters and the voice acting and the
riff chorus,
writing, the
yeah.
stop motion and the hand-drawn cutscenes. You see how much respect they have for the work that they were adapting. And for that,
Yeah, no shit. The Wukong is a god. He's a real god, dude. Of course they are gonna make as good as possible. Wukong is literally a god. People worship that dude.
I've
Like,
never
what?
been more disgusted with Western media's attempt to ruin it for everyone.
You know? Wukong is literally a god. People worship that dude.
As
Of
Black
course
Myth
they are gonna make him as best as
Wukong
possible.
continues to gain traction and impress gamers worldwide, it has also found itself at the center of a made-up controversy, particularly in the form of smear campaigns orchestrated by some Western journalists and media. Particularly in the form of smear campaigns.
Black Myth Wukong's PR strategy of silence has failed. Really, it's failed.
What PR sense? What PR sense? What is he? What are they talking about? Okay, it's a dead game. Half of the people who played it quit.
That's crazy. Wow, I didn't know that.
Dead game, guys. Nobody's playing it anymore.
That's damn.
Yo, guys,
Wow.
just get it on sale. Wait for it on sale or something.
Orchestrated
you gotta
by
play it.
some
It's pretty
Western
good.
journalists and media outlets. These efforts, often
know,
subtle yet
pretty good
pervasive,
game.
aim to undermine the game's success and cast
Of
doubt
course.
on its quality and legitimacy.
The only part about this guy you can hit is his head.
Aim to
Everything else
undermine the
you
game's
cannot hit
success
him.
and cast doubt
course.
on its quality and legitimacy. The criticisms of Black Myth Wukong by certain Western outlets like IGN isn't about the game's content. I think it's a reflection of a broader discomfort with the rise of non-Western developers in the AAA space.
I
And
think
develop-
that's exactly it.
How
He's
many? There is
totally
only one
fucking
that
right.
popped up.
It's all about keeping the development space pure, right? Like I'm not trying to make like a, you know, like some sort of like Nazi correlation here, but like keeping it to where like the culture is the same and there can be a monolithic way of expressing that culture. And I think that's what's happened is that like games like Black Myth Wukong, and I think the same thing's true with like Star Rail and other games that are made from developers that are outside of like the Western area, is that these developers don't care about this. They don't have the same values that like Western developers do. And so Western developers see them as a threat. Because like the truth is that if people have the option,
Yeah, but I never seen Wukong. There is much blood going on there, you know? In Elden Ring, look at how much blood that's going on here. But it doesn't hit the floor.
why would somebody want to play a game that's patronizing them?
developers, the media,
So actual
has no
yeah,
power
like
over.
yeah, we're seeing genuine cultural diversity, and this is another issue too, right? Is like the media doesn't have control over like the way that a video game is perceived in China, right? Like some American media company doesn't have control over that, so they don't like it. They want to push it down because like people are afraid of what they can't control and they can't manipulate.
Which I think is all
They can't profit out of it, off of it. That's the problem, you know? If it's from a Western studio, they can have complete autonomy over what do you call it? What they can sell and then what they can do, you know. I think I don't know how to
Obviously,
explain it.
many of
Yeah,
them
they're
have
losing
run to
their
play
grip.
defense
Exactly.
for Sony's
Yeah.
recent failure.
It's
in
all about
Concord.
control.
The smear campaigns
Yeah.
tend to focus on nitpicking details, spreading misinformation, and creating narratives that paint the
I mean, if this guy was freaking know what they are talking about, they will talk about the performance being complete ass, you know.
game in a negative light, hoping, praying that people
All the bosses are unbalanced as shit, you know. In a technical aspect, if they shit on this game, it could have worked, but they went on that, you know, political side. That's the problem they
find
made.
them relevant and take their criticism seriously.
Because I'm a legitimate journalist.
Everybody's favorite gaming reviewers in Kotaku took to writing a lengthy review of Black
Never seen this thing. I don't know what it is.
Myth Wukong painted in a temper tantrum. With the introduction reading, there's a moment in Black Myth Wukong where it is the perfect visual metaphor for the game's hopeful, proud ascension as China's big breakthrough into the Western AAA pantheon. Unfortunately, that moment is restricted, and we can't talk about it.
What is he talking about? I am curious. Yeah?
What?
There are moments
what?
in Black Myth Wukong of such enthralling beauty and visual poetry and myth-making, almost unlike anything we've seen in the current AAA gaming space right now. We can't show them to you or discuss their contents. There are realms of lore and mythology and parables and morality plays dancing with such wild
Or are they
abandon.
like NDA? Like,
Oh
this
yeah.
is the most melodramatic way to say that they're under NDA that I've ever heard.
Yeah. Dude.
Abandonment and
Yeah, I do.
fantastical, whimsical, imaginative character work and design, giving depth and beauty and context to the otherwise obtuse narrative of Black Myth Wukong. We can't tell you anything about them. And the review continues like this. This childish behavior is in response to a leaked email from Game Science's PR partner asking creators who were given codes to refrain from talking about politics, feminist propaganda, fetishization, and other content that instigates negative discourse. What Kotaku, as well as many other journalists' response to this were, can be easily read as, "We are mad that we aren't allowed to talk about anything that doesn't have to do with the video game, so instead, we're going to write angry reviews with backhanded comments."
Legitimate journalists will take
Why are these? Oh my god, this is. Oh my god, this is. How is.
What is going on?
It's fine. It's fine. It's not a big deal. It is the way it is. It's just the way it is. This is why they're going out of business. It's unbelievable. Like, I feel like it'd be pretty damn awkward to only be able to talk about the game. Well, the problem is that that was never the case. This was always... See, and I'm surprised journalists don't know this. I feel like journalists should know this. Like, I just... It's like, you know, what's the thing where it's like you're so stupid that you don't know you're stupid, the Dunning-Kruger effect or something like that? I think that's what it's referred to, right?
Hubris.
Yes, yeah. Like, they don't even know what they don't know. It's crazy.
Wow, they don't even know what they don't even know.
All I care about is the game. Why would I read the article otherwise? Yeah.
issue with this.
I'm going to keep it real. I don't know the context of this email. However, as a creator, this looks like a poorly written briefing for sponsored content.
Here's what happened. It's such a simple fucking explanation, and I've given it 3 times. Hopefully this is the last time I ever have to talk about it again. The reason why this happened is because of Chinese media laws and media expectations. So there are different PR firms that work with different users that are, you know, like, for example, like, I own a talent management company. I don't know if you guys know that, right? But I do. Mythic Talent. I'm an owner of Mythic Talent. So you take what, like, I'm not talking about like these specifics of this, and I've also worked with contracts like this. I've been doing contracts like this for like 7 years. I've gone through probably 100 contracts like this. I've read them. Like, I know what it is. I'll tell you exactly what happened. Is that there were probably different PR firms that the marketing efforts were outsourced to, and some of them westernized the expectations for the Chinese version, and other ones didn't, and some of the ones that were not westernized got leaked, and then that one was shown. But the truth is that that was done only because the company that made the game was in China, and they had to ask those things because they didn't want to upset the government. That's the reason why it happened. It had nothing to do with the actual values of game science. It had nothing to do with the values of the PR firm. It had nothing to do with the values of the game. It had everything to do with their country and the laws and the culture in their country. And if you didn't understand that, you haven't dealt with a lot of contracts like this. I have. That's how I know. So it's and this is the problem, right? And like, so, and you see like this, what's the word for it? It's like this like feeling of like superiority that people like this have, and they don't even know what they don't understand. That's what I'm saying, right? Like, yeah, like skeletons in the game. Exactly. There are really some things you can't do in China. Exactly, right? But it doesn't mean some Western devs do that in principle, shouldn't have any limitations imposed by an authoritarian government. They didn't. It was just not translated properly, and it wasn't communicated properly because it probably went through 2 different channels of communication. That's what really happened. It's not some massive global conspiracy about how China hates feminism or game science doesn't want people to talk about COVID. These are Chinese laws and expectations that just weren't translated properly to a Western content creator or a Western audience. That's it. That's literally it. It's not some complicated fucking conspiracy.
Journalists can seethe all they want. However, if you are paid to do a job, you do the job as instructed. What company is going to pay you to talk about their game and talk about unrelated things to the game that they are paying you to promote?
In a lot of contracts, and I'll kind of break a little bit of the fourth wall here, and you know, I'm not going to, obviously there's a lot of things I can't discuss, but very commonly in contracts there are asks for you not to discuss divisive political topics while you're playing the game. This is an incredibly common expectation and ask for people to have. There's a lot of obviously reasons for that. There are some that make sense, some that don't make as much sense, right? It's basically like they want you to play the game. It's like also like not to talk negatively about, like a lot of games actually have it, don't compare this game to other games in like a negative light or a positive light. Don't say, oh, this is so much better than, you know, like, you know, I don't know, like Call of Duty is so much better than Fortnite or something like that. Like, don't say that. Be professional, basically. Yeah. And so there are a lot of instances where
what the fuck? Be professional? Who's that idiot? I'm gonna compare the shit out of it. You know, I think Elden Ring is better than Wukong. And I think freaking, what's it called? Wukong is better than Elden Ring. It's just one-upping each other, you know? Because that's how you compare it, so you have a better idea. What? Of course you gotta compare. That's how you differentiate. Jesus Christ, these guys not. So it's basically they're just fake.
Yeah, like don't say that.
What's the value between in a product if you can't compare with anything else? What's the point? I just don't understand, dude.
Yeah, and so there are a lot of instances where this is kind of expected.
Oh, now, I completely understand, because if you compare it like that, it puts the game on a bad spot, right? So people just ignore this game and then play the other game.
For me, I think I break this rule.
And then if these guys promote a guy that says their game is better than another game, that another game can sue them because they are defamation, right? So it's just that kind of politics. It's just all politics. That's pretty much it.
Every single time.
It has nothing to do with the value of product. I don't care. I will compare the compare the hell out of everything I see till the freaking end of the world. You know? Because I don't have any restrictions like this
Because
at
I
all.
always compare the games.
Because I buy every game with my money and then I compare it to freaking left
that's
and
what
right.
I do. But this is in the contract language, and I think for extreme circumstances, there are obviously going to be conversations about that. It's a stupid rule. It is and it's not, right? But what I'm saying is that, like, rules like this are very common, and it's...
Yeah, I
but,
just
mean,
explained
I
why
can't
it's
show
a
you guys
problem,
a lot of it,
you
but
know?
yeah. Disparaging agreements? Well, non-disparagement is... Like, in general, I think that I've never, like, seen a contract where it says that you can't say anything bad about the game. But obviously, contracts will say, try to emphasize positive things about the game. Yeah, of course they're going to say that. Like, it's common sense.
Oh, I can do that too. Just sponsor me, Wukong.
But yeah, I mean, like, you can pull back, you know, like, I'll pull back the curtain on this a little bit. And, like, yeah, of course this is the case. Like, I mean, this be common sense, yeah. Your job is what you're getting paid to play the game? Yeah, exactly. Don't start shit with our competitors. Yeah, exactly.
Claim censorship, that's fine, but these demands are no different than the expectations of anyone else who has a job. Albeit these topics are a little bit more sensitive to China and specifically Black Myth Wukong, as the game has suffered at the hands of IGN and other outlets parroting misinformation about alleged sexism at GameSign.
Game didn't suffer shit. People still bought the game because the game is good. This drama doesn't work, dude. Like, it didn't suffer at all. It only made popular, you know? It only made the game popular like Hogwarts, you know?
But they wouldn't understand that, would they? Because after all, they can't even do their own job. I mean, whoever's claiming there is a lack of diversity obviously never finished Chapter 3.
Non-white.
I'm offended by this. Review after review of Black Myth Wukong soured by unconfirmed and
boss was fucking
mistranslated
annoying.
information, self-righteous, self-serving.
Who the fuck is he? Oh, this guy. This is a boss? And he was annoying? I fought this guy and then I steamrolled his ass and I don't even remember him. This guy is so unrememberable.
I'm offended by this. Review after review of Black Myth Wukong soured
It was
by
so
unconfirmed
easy.
The
and
boss was fucking
mistranslated
annoying.
information, self-righteous, self-serving reviewers turned activists, docking review scores,
I think I
attempting to pull
probably would have
players
died
away
for
from
him
this game,
like
all
once,
in the
maybe?
name of their brand of
I don't know.
justice. Tell
And the
me,
problem,
where is the
and here's also another really big issue. Like, now he's...
So you can absolutely see a person of color right there. You guys have missed it. You guys
away from this
you
game,
guys see?
all in the name of their
There it
brand
is.
of justice.
And
Tell
the
me,
problem
where
is
is the
that
Inclusivity in the
here's
game.
also
Let's go.
another really big issue.
Right
Like,
there.
now he's cooking. Game performance is unpolished. This is partially true.
This is absolutely true. Game doesn't. You need a fucking 4070 to run this game. Gameplay becomes repetitive over time. True, that's also true. Lacking in inclusive diversity. If he is mentioning about person of color, Latino, Indian guy, he is right. All of these things he mentioned is right, but only one thing people actually care about, that's only performance, you know? This review is actually right. It's not wrong at all.
I've had issues where
It
game
depends on the
performance was
context.
affected too. I think a lot of people have. But the problem, and this is the worst thing, is that legitimate feedback gets overwritten by stupid feedback. And now nobody's talking about actual issues or real feedback. It's all noise about something that's stupid. The odds are you're right that it probably could be just because of my CPU or I had ray tracing on, sure. But like,
Why the fuck do you
those
play with ray
slowdowns
tracing?
were like very, very annoying. And I never had that problem with other games either.
Tell me, where is the justice in docking review scores due to the lack of inclusivity and diversity in an adaptation
that's
of one
kinda
of the
dumb.
most respected novels in China's cultural history? Because it doesn't include your modern beliefs. Once
Yeah,
the
it doesn't
culturally
include an Indian guy there. Indian guy and a black dude. And who else is? And a gay dude and a lesbian. It doesn't include any of them.
appropriate a game made by a Chinese developer, adapted from a Chinese novel, is beyond disgusting and abhorrent.
Well, these people, I mean, these people think the entire world revolves around them. That's the reason why.
I mean, to be fair, as an Indian myself, when I see an Indian person in a game like this, it actually makes me uncomfortable. It doesn't feel like I am included. It feels like I'm being made fun of, and they put it in such a stereotypical way. It makes me annoyed. You know, it feels annoying to see an Indian guy in a video game because they made it so weird. Indian guys are not like that. They make it so weird in the games. Why would they do that?
Gameplay becomes repetitive over time. I mean, it doesn't really. I mean, like, it's the same game. Like, you get new abilities and stuff like that. Yeah. It's just colonizers. Yeah, it's actually crazy how, like, these are the same people.
I think the best way they included was in Uncharted, the Legacy of Thieves. I think they portrayed the Indians very well on that game. Rest of them, it's just so stereotypical as hella stereotype, you know?
That'll, like, call white people
It's
colonizers.
to the point it's
Or say how
uncomfortable.
bad it is that what we did to, like, Native Americans, and then they go and they do it immediately to China. It's just like it's crazy because I hope you guys understand that, like, these people would be the people that would be, like, pushing against, like, in a lot of cases, pushing for slavery back in the day. Everybody likes to think that, oh yeah, well, you know, I'd be the person helping the slaves escape through the Underground Railroad. Yeah, these people would be the police.
You know, there was a game that came out earlier this year, Tales of Kenzera. This really cool Metroidvania game, very creative, that was made by an African developer with African characters.
Yeah.
None of them said anything about diversity then. The logic is never applied evenly because they don't believe in it. It's just a convenient vehicle to maintain relevance. I am beyond...
I mean, to be fair, it's a game that's made by an African guy that has African dude. African people, right? It makes sense. You know? Oh yeah, it's made by an African developer, so the people, all of them are Africans. Okay, it makes sense, right? But what doesn't make sense is a game that's made by a Western person that has an Indian guy in the game that doesn't look like an Indian, act like an Indian at all. You know? That what doesn't make sense, and it's weird. That's the problem.
That Game Science never responded.
Just don't include a certain culture of people if you don't know anything about them. You know? Not everybody in India speaks Hindi, dude. Jesus Christ. Learn
any
that
of these
first.
allegations because they had no responsibility to have to do so.
My God.
Yes, there's no reason. This is the way that I think a lot of people should handle controversy.
And not everybody in India is Hindus either. Mind blown, right?
You should handle controversy by just simply not addressing it because it doesn't matter. Nobody actually cares about controversy. It's just all bullshit. Yeah, just ignore it. Like, oh, but what about this one thing that happened with this guy? Shut up. Who cares? Yeah, just totally ignore it. Mr. Beast, yeah. Look at, like, I mean, I think Mr. Beast, honestly, deleting all the comments, you know, like, just basically ignoring it completely. Logan Paul has done this with multiple massive fuck-ups. And it just doesn't matter.
Responsible to game journalists? What authority do they hold?
Yeah.
None. When I look around the industry right now and I see players that are playing games that they're not liking anymore because the game's going in a direction that they don't want, when I see games that are released that are failing and studios that are closing and people that are getting laid off, I'm seeing a lot of games that are being influenced by people that have no real power. Talentless weirdos that are trying to shape games the way that they want them to be.
That's right.
Rather than what the market wants it to be.
Fucking exactly. Fuck. Ooh. So fucking exactly. Yep, there it is. Countless Road. Yep, exactly. There it is. Yep.
I respect Game Science's choice here because they just focused on the game and putting the game out there. And at the end of the day, you let the market decide, not these people. I really hope that there are studios that are out there that take notice of this.
Why
They're
do they
really-
need inclusivity in
This is what's
Wukong?
going
It
to
doesn't
happen.
make
And then
any
there's
sense.
also like another existential problem that studios have is that
The game barely has any story.
like China, as far as I know, I mean, I'm not really like tuned in on their culture in the same way, but I don't think China views AI as like being like a moral evil, like generative AI as being a moral evil in the same way that I think Western people, like, or at least like some Western audiences try to push it as. So like another thing that's going to happen is that the reason they don't, I don't think that they do either. But it seems that way.
Yeah,
to me,
you've
right?
never seen a Chinese Terminator, did you? You've never seen one, right? You've never seen a Chinese Skynet. Because they are a Skynet.
Based especially on like, you know, cultural parallels. But when video games can be generated with AI
Jesus
and more
Christ.
content can be generated with AI in a way that is good enough for users, then this massively puts Western companies at a disadvantage. Because now it's like you have something that can generate the work of 10 people with one person. Well, how do you compete against that? You have to do it. That's how you compete against it. You have to do
I mean, in general, the problem with the Western developers and the Eastern one is just the sheer amount of workforce the Eastern have. Like in China, do you know how many? It's the world's highest population in the world, dude. I think India beat that, but you know, in terms of technology as well as the population, China is the number one right now. You cannot literally compete with one-on-one. And on top of it, they are going to use AI. You are just going to get slaughtered. You know? So you got to do an AI. You can't push away from that. Just you are done. As soon as they break through the market, the competition in that kind, Eastern competition is just insane. Like, you have no idea how competitive people are. Like, Genshin popped off, right? See how many type of games that copied Genshin came out in a span of like 2 years? Like, it's just insanely, like, competitive. Like, there is already a game that plays like Wukong is already on, is gonna come out, like in 2 months. They're already up there. You know? I think I saw it, but I don't know what's his name, I forgot. But there is another game that's coming from China itself that plays like Wukong. But it consists of anime girl.
it.
You know?
And I think that's another reason why people are worried about other
just
studios from other
super
parts of the
competitive.
world getting into it, because it totally puts their jobs at risk in an existential way through AI.
Oh, as soon as China people comes to you, can do your job, you are so fired. They're gonna do the same job you do, and they will overwork themselves for the fraction of price you are getting paid.
And other forms of generative automation.
Oh yeah.
Realize that they're not responsible to these folks at all. They have no power over you. Make the game that you want to make. Pour everything you can into the game that you want to make. Release it out into the market and let the market decide if it's enough. You can't make everybody happy. It's impossible. And every time you try to do so, you're just going to make something that has no identity whatsoever.
Well, the big thing is that you can't make people that like to complain happy, because if they stop complaining, they lose power. So people that are complainers will never be happy, because if they are happy, then they lose their relevance.
And it's not going to reach enough players. Concord is proof of that. That's exactly what happened with that game. It has no identity. It's been done before. It came out for $40, and players don't want it.
Okay, I think we are gonna continue by our slop.